I know this process can be very intense for most of us, and it's easy to feel victimized by this process, overwhelmed by it, feel like God is doing something to us that's not fair, not right. But I invite you to see this from the lens of the heart, see this experience from the lens of your own divinity. And it begins to change everything as you see that this process is a divine process. It's not a mistake. You're not being punished. And so I'd like to speak about the power of choice today, being empowered on this path. So as energy concentrates at a particular center, you'll begin to notice that you have a choice about how to respond to that center. And so I'll walk through each of the 7 centers. And in a proactive way, we'll speak about the choice that's possible there. And these are just general choices. And so when you have a lot of intensity, let's say circling around the crown or in the crown chakra, a lot of pressure, a lot of light. And sometimes that'll bleed down to the third eye, and you'll have, things happening in your ears or your eyes or your face. But, a lot of people get lots of intense pressure. And you may say, what is this? I don't like this. I hate this. Like that would be the egoic response. Or from a place of empowerment, a place of truth, we have the choice to open to God, open to grace. Now, the ego may say, well, grace is supposed to feel light and heavenly. And, this is where God is going to show you something different. Sometimes grace comes and knocks you off your feet. But it's knocking you off your feet. It's putting you in your seat. It's humbling you into a place where God is showing you a greater truth, a greater realm, a greater experience that maybe your body cannot handle in this moment. But again, the key word there is it's offering you something greater, something you may not understand. But if we open to this, we'll open to divine realms, which can be quite incredible, quite healing. And it'll change the very perception through which you view life, through which you experience life, experience your own self. I can just give a quick example of this. Ivy and I were speaking about this shortly ago. That when God really started to wake up in my head, I started to hear really intense ringing in my ears. And a lot of people call this tinnitus or tinnitus. And it could be really intense. I would get migraine type headaches. And if I just called them migraines, well, I would just be crippled, and I'd probably think about taking medication, but that's not really where I go. I opened to this experience. I opened to the pain and began to ask, what is this? Is this pain? Or is this something else? And I began to see that it was light coming into me. And so I began to become curious about what this light was, what it was doing to me, what it was trying to show me and open to me. And now my head, it just feels like light. It feels like light and space all the time. And sometimes I'll get a really bad headache. And afterwards, I'll feel more light and more expansion. And sometimes different types of holy realms, different realms of samadhi and these types of things. And so again, the choice is to fight with it or to open to it. With the third eye, the choice oftentimes when we have pressure in the head, we can open to our thoughts and believe our thoughts, take them to be true, and again, think that God is victimizing us. Or we can open to clarity. We can open to clarity and wisdom, where you're seeing clearly in an empty way. And you may begin to see that light has come into your consciousness and it's burning up old thoughts. It's burning up the victim in you. It's burning up, all these unconscious thoughts and beliefs about yourself. And that may be uncomfortable as you're watching like each thought burn or each belief burn and be cooked in the light. It'd be quite uncomfortable. But if you step back into this place of clarity, there'll be much greater freedom from where you're seated. If you're just identified fully with that which is being cooked out of your consciousness, well, you probably will suffer. You'll suffer more fully than if you step back and see what's happening here. God is transforming me. When my Kundalini first woke up, I just felt like I was in a pressure cooker for the good part of a decade. But because I trusted, my body felt safe and I was able to relax and flow with it instead of fighting it. With the throat chakra, so much of the throat is simply about opening to trust. Like I trust that it's safe to be here. It's safe to feel. It's safe to experience. I trust when the throat is open, energy flows, and energy will, either flow down or flow up or just radiate outward. And throat chakra can be very quick and simple, or it can be a place where we just hold on for dear life. It's just like, there's this thing in jujitsu when someone's attacking you, people like hold their breath and they stop breathing. Like that's not helping you to resist. If you're being attacked, you want to be breathing and thinking clearly. So when you breathe, when you relax your throat, the heart is pumping, you're breathing, and the brain can think, and you can think, how am I going to defend myself against this? But when you clench your throat, you stop breathing, you just resist God, you resist this energy, it just makes everything a lot harder, much more difficult. And so we want this to be an open doorway. So we have the wisdom of our brain, the wisdom of our mind, the wisdom of the heart, the wisdom of the belly. We trust, okay, it's safe to be here on planet Earth. Now, I don't mean it's comfortable. Safety and comfort are two different things, but it's safe to be here. It's safe to experience, safe to open. And when you trust that it's safe, like I have everything I need within me, it's the divine world. And I trust you have all 7 resources, all 7 minds at play. When you close the throat chakra and you just have your thinking mind, but you shut yourself off from the body, then your mind is in fear and it's disconnected from truth, you'll probably be a wreck. And, keep in mind, I resisted for a long time. I had my throat shut for a long time. So I know this dance. I know it doesn't work. So open to trust is your choice. In the heart, we can open to wisdom and open to unconditional love. And it's wisdom in the form of love. Wisdom in the form of love. And sometimes it's as simple as opening and knowing I am a divine being. Whereas when the heart is closed, we feel as if I am a separate being. It's me against the world, me against life. Life is victimizing me. I am the ultimate victim. I'm abandoned. I'm alone. Mom and dad abandoned me, and I'll never be safe. Whereas when you open to life through the heart, you begin to see, oh, I am part of life. That God is here. God is supporting me. God is trying to show me something, even if it's something uncomfortable and difficult. But I have the choice to see that I am part of God, not separate from God. And I'm able to love myself. I'm able to forgive. I'm able to step into something greater from a place of love. So again, each center has a choice. So with the third chakra, the solar plexus, the choice is to step into your power, your will, your individual will, which is different than egoic will. So egoic will is just like I'm fighting against everything and I feel isolated, alone. Individual will is I'm a part of God. I have a right to be here. I'm a child of God. I'm meant to be here. This world is God's world. This world is my world. And so from this place, we can create, we can envision, we can exert ourselves in the direction of our truth. When you feel a victim, though, you feel like you just have to defend yourself from life. But from a place of will, we can ask, like, what does my heart want? And am I walking in this direction? Like, what does my heart truly want? And am I walking in this direction? So this will is the willingness to walk, to stand up, to fight a good fight from a place of love, openness, forgiveness. And like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, Joan of Arc, great examples. The third chakra standing up for the truth, for the truth. As we move down into the second chakra center, again, it gets even more primal. It's like, no one loves me. It's me against the world. I'm fighting with life. I don't feel safe. I feel totally abandoned. And it'll have more of a primal voice, like a childlike voice, and sometimes purely a voice of fear. That's the unconscious voice of ego there. The voice of truth in this center is that I'm a Buddha. Buddha. But my nature, this nature that I am, is indestructible. And so sometimes when so much light, energy, and fear, and when I was facing this center and opening in this center, I was gripped by utter terror, like just terror for, it must have been 9 months or more. 9 months where the volume was at a 10. There was so much terror, it's like I couldn't sleep. It was so intense. Felt like my skin was crawling night and day. And, there was this display of just being killed and ripped apart in my head. And I'd hear the screams of 10,000 babies crying, just in my inner ear. But as I opened to it, open to Buddha nature, connected with Buddha nature, I would challenge God. I would challenge this fear and say, God, you show me death. You show it to me. Because I knew that this path was about enlightenment. And so in Zen, they call this die, you must die before you die. Or what dies is the fear in you dies. Like it just comes at you so many different ways. And you just see it, you witness it, you experience it, you let it live in you, flow through you. And as you open to fear and see that this very fear cannot kill you, it's just thoughts, it's just imagery, it's just visions, it's not actual death. That this consciousness that you are cannot die. So this is a choice. It's a choice to believe in your Buddha nature before choosing to believe in egoic nature. And so let's just do the last one real quick. And the last one is a really interesting one, the root chakra. The root chakra is you opening up. The choice here is can you open up and realize that you are life? You are life. What you are is life itself. The Alpha and the Omega, the totality, the beginning and the end, and everything in between. That you are this. You are this. Now, in the egoic way, it's no, like this body, this physical thing does not feel safe here. Does not feel safe here. And there's a truth to that. Like we'll all die, we'll get sick, become old, might get run over by a truck or whatever. A friend of mine, he just broke his neck last week. He's in the hospital right now in surgery. And so, yes, crazy things can happen in this world. But his consciousness will live on. Your consciousness will live on. With or without body, with or without form. And the only way we begin to discover these deeper, fuller levels of enlightenment is through facing these primal fears. We can, as we face them, the choice is, do we choose the truth? Or do we choose to believe in fear? If you choose to believe in fear, normal choice, that's what everyone on planet Earth does. Your nervous system will be like this the whole time. And when you're like this, your chakras will contract, and it's harder for the Kundalini to flow through you to complete the process. Whereas when you open to this fear, experience it directly, when you face it in its totality, and see that the fear, the intensity, the pain, the suffering, the illness that is coming to you is you. That you are the matrix. You are this world. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the beginning and the end. You are the creator. You are it. Not some grandiose egoic way. The very substance, the fabric of your consciousness is the fabric of God. As we open into this, your whole life begins to change. Your whole experience begins to change. It's no longer Kundalini happening to you, but rather that you are life itself. You are life itself. You are the totality itself. And so anyways, what I'm inviting for this group, for each of you, is just to notice, where am I struggling? Where am I suffering? Where is the Kundalini concentrating? And can I choose to open to this most holy of paths? Can I choose not to turn away, not to fall into the trap of ego? Or can I choose to step into the realm of liberation?